Hello, and welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. Today is Friday, September 17th, and this is episode 26. Thank you to all returning viewers and subscribers, and if you're new, thank you so much for joining me today. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as cbcraftygirl, and we also have a group on Ravelry for this podcast, and that will be linked. All of those things will be linked down below, as well as any show notes that I have. I feel a little out of practice. I've tried this intro 4 times, so I know it's only been 2 weeks, but yeah, I just feel kind of crazy out of practice. So sorry about that, guys. We'll just try to get into things here and get this podcast going. So, first thing is we have reached 500 subscribers on this YouTube channel. So this is really exciting, and I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed, who have watched, who have commented down below, who have participated in the any make-alongs that we've had on Ravelry. This has been really fun for me. I love getting to talk to you guys in the comments, you know, interacting that way, or seeing what you're making on Ravelry. So this has just been a joy for me. So thank you very much. So with 500 subscribers, I would like to host a 500 subscriber giveaway. So I have made this fall project bag. This would be a good sock sack. It's a zippered bag. This would be a good sock bag or a one skein project, a hat bag. And it's got this cute autumnal fabric with pumpkins. And I don't know, maybe on this side you can see a couple little birdies on there. And then on the inside is some bright orange fabric, so easy to see what's going on inside your project. So this will be a YouTube giveaway. So to participate in this giveaway, I would like you to comment down below what is your favorite thing you are looking forward to this fall. Yeah, so anything that you are looking forward to this fall, or your favorite fall activity, and it can be knitting, but just comment down below to be entered in the giveaway for this project bag. And I will probably leave this open for 2 weeks, and then I will draw a winner from this podcast. So comment down below on this episode 26. All right. Let's see. In our Ravelry group, I have a 12 skeins of Christmas mini skein swap, and I have paired people up on Ravelry and on Instagram. So please make sure you check your Ravelry message box or check your Instagram message. So I have paired you up, and details can be found in the Ravelry group. There's a thread about this swap, and if you do have any questions, you know, please do reach out to me with any questions about that. So I reached out to my partner and asked, you know, in addition to those 12 little mini skeins, do you want to exchange, you know, a full skein of yarn, a project bag, little goodies? You know, I said I am fine with anything, and so we agreed on some things to exchange. So just be the one to reach out to your partner and see what you want to exchange. And if it's just a 12 skein mini skeins, that is super fun too. It'll just be so much fun to receive that special swap package in the mail, and hopefully you will make a new knitting friend. All right, let's see. I'm just trying to see if I've got all of my things that I wanted to talk about at the beginning a little bit more. Oh, in the yes, words fail me. In the Carla Knits podcast group on Ravelry, I have an Ask Me Anything thread. So please feel free to post your questions there. I did have one from last time, so I thought I would just answer that here. This is from Anvita SINHA1, and her name, I believe, is Anvita. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Anvita or Anvita. And this is a question that she asked. Have you had the opportunity to physically teach knitting to anyone in your circle? Maybe a family member or friend or neighbor or colleague. In case yes, how was the whole experience? Did they also fall in love with knitting as a hobby or craft? All right, that is a really good question. I would actually like to have more of an opportunity to teach people to knit and crochet because it is something I am so passionate about. So when we had the yarn store in our town, I did bring my daughter Jenna along when she was younger. And, she wanted to come, especially during summers, because we meet every Tuesday. And so she would come along occasionally, and she would want to knit, and she would have, grand ideas of making, a huge blanket. But quickly realized that, knitting it's a process, and to make a big blanket is going to take some time. So I did teach Jenna how to knit. So she knows how to do just the knit stitch. And she did a little bit of knitting, but then I have also taught her how to crochet. And so I'm going to share a little something with you. This is Jenna's crochet blanket. So she started this many years ago. And like a lot of crochet projects, when you start, you have those wonky edges. I love this. I think this is just so sweet. So this was a few years back, probably 3 years ago. So she started, and these were really big skeins of yarn from Joann Fabric, or Joann, etc. now, whichever the store is, Joann's. So Jenna did crochet a lot of this blanket, and then she kind of stopped. So for Christmas last year, I finished off the blanket for her. And she loves this blanket. It's a pretty hefty blanket, so really nice for snuggling with, or just for snuggling with, especially in those colder months. But I still see her use it now. So she can crochet, she can knit, but it's not her passion like her mom. So I'm hopeful that maybe, I know as a teenager there's so many different things that someone could be interested in. And I guess that's true of all of us, so many different things. But I'm hoping that maybe someday down the road that she'll come back to either crocheting or knitting. I did teach my mom how to knit once upon a time. Now this is hard because my mom lives in Michigan and I live here in Nebraska. So on one of her trips to Nebraska, we did sit out on my front porch. I have a little church pew on our front porch. So I sat with my mom and I did teach her how to knit. And she took it home and worked on it a little bit. But if you don't have someone right there with you to guide you in those early stages, that can be pretty tricky. So I suspect maybe knitting isn't my mom's thing either, but I think she is a very crafty person at heart. I remember when I was little, she sewed a lot, whether it be, garments for us or for my Barbie dolls. We have tried cross stitch together, and she loves to scrapbook, do different things like that. So, and recently she has expressed an interest in embroidery. So maybe she will try that. So, those are the people that I've tried to teach knitting or crochet to, and hopefully in the future I'll have opportunity to teach some more. I always kind of tease with Jeff, hey, do you want to try knitting? And he's like, oh, you wouldn't like it, Carla. He thinks that I'm a perfectionist or a little bit of a craft snob. I hope I'm not. I really hope I'm not, but maybe I am. I don't know. So, but I would love to teach people. And I teach beginning class piano at our university, and I think I'm a pretty patient person with that. So I'd like to think I could be patient with teaching knitting and crocheting. So that was a great question. Sorry if I was a little long-winded, but if you ever have any questions, just stick it over in that Ask Me Anything thread on Ravelry. All right. Just responding to some questions that I had asked of you guys. If you remember this hat, I made this hat as part of our Merry Make-Along. This hat was to be for my sister Laura. And I said it kind of turned out maybe a little big. She's got a tinier head than I do. And then I had a big pom-pom and I had a little pom-pom, and I asked, well, what do you think? Should I leave it without a pom-pom? Should I put a pom-pom on, big, small? And it was kind of divided all over the place. Many people were like, big pom-pom, and someone said, little pom-pom, it's cute. But I have to tell you, the answer I liked the best was, you should keep it, Carla. It looks good on you. So I actually really do like how this hat looks on me. So I think I am going to keep this hat, which means I'm going to have to knit Laura a new hat. So I found this skein of yarn in my stash. This is Stress Knits yarn. It's a DK weight in the eucalyptus colorway. And I do have a hat pattern in mind, but we will have to come back to that because I can't, at some future podcast, because I can't think of the name right off the top of my head. It's the newest one by the Driftless Knitter, or Driftless Knitting podcast. That's Jennifer Rundhaug, I believe. So I think I'm going to make this hat. And I think this color is good for my sister Laura. She likes her colors much more subdued than I do. We are kind of opposite extremes because, you know, I like those big, bright, bold, funky colors, and she's a little more subtle in her color palette. So yeah, so stay tuned to see what this becomes. All right, so I have a half object today. Bet you thought we were never going to get into that knitting. I have a half object today. This is the first sock of Christmas socks for my husband, Jeff. And it hasn't been blocked yet, so it's a little wonky looking. But this is such a fun self-patterning yarn. On this side, I have my stitch markers notating, you know, every 10 rows. This yarn is an Arne and Carlos line by Regia, and the color number is 03857. And I really love how this knit up. I just think this pattern is so fun. You know, I've been knitting it in the car when we go to the lake, and I don't think he even pays attention. So, because he just expects me always to be knitting. So I don't know if he's really seen me register in his head that I'm knitting this pair of socks. I certainly haven't told him it's for him. But we'll see when it comes Christmas time if he remembers me knitting on this sock. So half object, and that goes a little bit into my whips then. So I just barely have that second sock started. So the cuff is done, and maybe 12 rounds on the leg. So yeah, my goal is to get this done hopefully by the end of September. So I mostly do this like when we're driving in the car, or I will take it along to school, although I haven't had any students skip their lesson yet, so no knitting time at school yet, which is okay. And I have been taking it to my knitting group on Tuesday to work on as well. So yeah, so that is my first work in project. If you remember, I was talking about Scrappy September, wanting to put some love into my scrappy projects. I have two blankets or afghans that are scrappy. So let me show you. This is my cozy memory blanket. The pattern is the Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And these are mitered square blankets. So you can see these are used with fingering weight yarns, although you could do a blanket with really any weight of yarn. And so I was here last time, so I have added this square, which finished off that row across, and now I've picked up at the bottom, I hope you can see this, and I got these 2 squares done down here. So this does not seem like a lot to me, and I confess this has been kind of a slow going process. It's kind of been a slog. So yeah, and it's been warm. To be fair, it's been warm. So I've been trying to work on this in the evenings, but only 4 squares to show for 2 weeks. But I did spend 2 hours weaving in some ends. So right now I just have the ends on the squares that are on the outer edges. All the rest have been woven in, and that took 2 hours of crafting time to weave in the ends. So so the blanket has gotten some attention, although maybe not as much as it could have. All right, so that's the Coziest Memories blanket. My other scrappy project is my Crochet Grammy Stripe afghan, which I've shown on the podcast many times, or several times at least. And if you can see that little stitch marker there, that's where I was, and that is as far as I have gotten, which is quite a bit of crocheting. And you can see I am at the end of a string. So I had made a magic knot ball earlier this year to work on this blanket. So that finished out my magic knot ball. And this is definitely coming along. So it finished out my magic knot ball, and it's time to make a new magic knot ball. Now this is getting really, really long. really long, and I want it to be like a cover on a twin size bed. So I did measure it on a twin size bed, and I think I probably have about 12 to 15 inches left that I would like to do, and then probably put a border around it. So it's definitely getting closer. I mean, it's definitely further along than the Cozy Memories blanket. I think that will take me many years, but this one is definitely the end is in sight. So I really do enjoy working on this one. But that leads me a little bit into talk about mini skeins and mini skein organization. So I had asked, I believe on the last podcast, if you have scrappy projects, or how do you manage or organize all your mini skeins or leftover scraps of yarn. And it sounds like most of you are like me in that you don't organize them or don't have a good organization system that works for you. So I'm just going to share a couple things that I thought were cute. Colleen from the All the Stitches podcast says she puts things into decorative reusable gift boxes and in a large glass old-fashioned peanut jar for display, which I love the idea of displaying those mini skeins if they were all, lovely little balls of yarn, and it would be such a pretty display. But I know me, they would be slopped scraps all over in there. But she says she doesn't really have them organized by weight or anything. So Brenda from the Night Owl Fibers podcast wrote that as for scrap organization, she says, I am also a hot mess. So I hear you, Brenda. I am so there. So, when I am anticipating making this magic knot ball, I have scraps that I have going for my Cozy Memories blanket. So I have some in a plastic bag. I have some down inside this project bag. So there's a bunch of yarn down inside this project bag. I have a big Rubbermaid tote full of mini skeins or leftover pretty good chunk sizes of fingering weight yarns. Like if you finish a shawl or if you finish a pair of socks, you know, most of the times you don't use a full 100 grams. So those all go in there. So yeah, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of actual little mini skeins and ball size, you know, pretty decent size leftovers in there. And then I have a couple Ziploc bags that I thought I knew, okay, this is done with my Cozy Memory blanket. Now it can go into my Scrappy Granny crochet afghan, but I can't keep it straight, especially when I don't work on these as often. Now I'm working on these right now, so I kind of know what's going on, you know, with my blankets and everything. But yeah, I am not organized, but oh, hopefully this fall, maybe I can get it organized. I really would like to get it organized. I look at some of those like subscriptions, like the Row 1 subscription for those mini skeins, and they are so tempting. They are so beautiful, but I'm just so afraid to add to my mess. Although it would be beautiful yarn to add into my beautiful yarn mess, I'm just a little hesitant. I had written a comment on the Naughty Knitwits podcast asking about do they have any organization tips for mini skeins? And Michelle wrote something, because I said, you know, the yarn and mini skeins are taking over the house. And Michelle wrote something, but what a great thing to take over your house, which is true. It's really fun. I don't know if Jeff and Jenna would agree, but I don't necessarily mind. But Michelle uses some Ziploc bags. So I guess we all just try to figure out how to make this work. So if anyone new is joining today and has any tips for organization, would still love to hear about that. So those are my Scrappy September projects. And I will say that it's a little hard working on my Scrappy projects when I want to be working on my other projects. So, you know, I have divided my time. I probably could have put more time into my Scrappy projects, but my heart was being tugged in other directions. So let me show you my couple of remaining whips here. So this is my Cinder Rose Shawl by Kalurah Hudson. Yeah, I have it the right way. So this is a shawl that has an applied border, which is taking a while to make, but I'm really loving it. I am trying to find, oh, there's that stitch marker down there. So that stitch marker is where I was the last time I showed this. So I have worked across there, and I have this much more to go. So you can see I'm definitely making progress. I like to work on this sometimes in the morning. Usually it is just a morning project, or if I come home from work for my lunch break, I might sit and do a little bit on it. But it's definitely something that I've tried listening to podcasts while doing it, and I always mess it up. So I really, it's the same thing over and over, but it's a 12-row chart, and there's just enough going on in each row that you really have to pay attention. So it really has to be my quiet knitting time, but I really love how this is turning out. The yarns that I am using are, let's see, Kenzie by Hikoo. It's a DK weight yarn, and the light color, it's actually a very pale gray, is called Glacier, and this beautiful purpley color is Boysenberry. And oh, I love that bright purple. I love that contrast, that bright purple and that light gray. So very fun. I am definitely looking forward to having this done. So I think I just have to knit what I really want to. I guess I don't want to say you have to work on your Scrappy projects because you said you're going to do Scrappy September. I guess you have to work on and create what makes you happy. So I think I'm going to be putting some more work into this because I would like to have this done for the month of September. All right, my final work in progress. Yes, work in progress and I've also put a lot of time into this, oops, is my Ranunculus. Oops, sorry, my table is just a mess here, so trying to get this. So this is my Ranunculus. This is a sweater pattern by Midori Hirose, and this is where I was the last time. So I finished up the body and did the 3 inches of a twisted ribbing, 1x1 ribbing, and then I have finished one sleeve with the I-cord edging, and I have also started on the second sleeve. So I had asked, you know, about short sleeves, 3/4 sleeves, long sleeves. Ultimately, I did decide to go long sleeves. I tried it on with 3/4 inch sleeves, and I kind of liked that. I did like it, but just knowing how cold it can get here in the winter, I thought, yeah, I think it's really going to be a sweater that I use more if I go long sleeves. So that is my Ranunculus. The yarns that I am using are, this green yarn is by Knit One Crochet 2. It's called Winter Blossom in the Sage colorway. And then this beautiful silk mohair is by Craftily Dyed Yarns on Etsy in the Succulent colorway. So this is so close to being done. So again, okay, I just have a sleeve to finish, and it's already got a lot of rounds into it. So goal also is to have this done by the end of September. So this sweater and the shawl are truly the projects that I want to be working on so much. So yeah, I will I will continue to work on those, and I'm not saying no to the scrappy projects, but yeah, I really want to do the sweater and the shawl. So yeah. It was funny when I was working on my Ranunculus, I was working on it when I had black pants on, which, why would I do that? And it was between my lunch break too. And of course I got fuzzy mohair all over my black pants. That was so not smart. I just had to knit on my little break. All right, that brings us to the end of the knitting and crocheting, the projects. So just a little bit of chatter. So I made the project bag for the giveaway. So I will share a little blooper I have. I was going to make a Halloween project bag for myself. So this was going to be the outer fabric for the project bag. And there's the bottom of the bag. And I was supposed to cut this corner down here for a box bottom. And I cut it, you know, I measured, I cut this, and then I'm like, oh no, what did you do? So I stopped. I was working on this yesterday. I had too many things going on. All the laundry done yesterday. I was running some errands, so I probably just should have stopped after the first bag, but I thought, no, I want to keep going, but nope. So I will save this to see if I can salvage it somehow to make something else, but it will not be the size project bag that I was hoping for. So I do have some more Halloween-y fabric coming, so maybe I will get a project bag sewed up for the month of October, or just for the month of October. I actually don't have any fall or autumnal bags, not that I can think of, or Halloween. So yeah, so I'd like to do that if I get some time. Yeah, so in the 2 weeks since I've seen you last, I visited my son Ryan in Kearney, so that was really fun. Just went down for the day and grabbed lunch and did a little shopping, so that was a lot of fun. That was last Friday. On Saturday, Jenna and I went with our son's fiance, Kelsey, to do some bridal dress shopping. This was our second time out, and she did find her dress, so that was really exciting. It was special to be a part of that. Sunday, Jeff had a extra long choir rehearsal, and then he had a pizza supper outside for he directs the women's choir, so he had a pizza supper outside for the girls. So Jen and I went and got the pizzas, and I made cakes and cookies for that. So it was a busy baking weekend, which was really fun. I did enjoy that a lot. Then Sunday was actually Kelsey's birthday, but we celebrated with dinner on Monday for her birthday. So that was fun to have Aaron and Kelsey over to celebrate her birthday. So that's kind of what's been going on here. In addition to school, work is going just fine. Mid-September now, so there's just a couple weeks of sailing left. We've gone once or twice in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully get a couple more sailing trips in before we have to take the boat out by mid-October. So that's what is going on here. I hope that you have all been well, and I hope that your projects are bringing you joy, whether it be knitting, crocheting, sewing, cross-stitching. So I hope that you are all doing well and having fun with your creating, and I will be back to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.